Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. Today, it's me, Sammy, and I'm here today with Kayla.
Hello.
And it's just the two of us today, and we're going to be talking about our album collections, how we collect K-pop albums, why we do it, all the other random stuff that happens when you collect K-pop albums.
We're at the end, we're gonna do kind of like a K-pop album tag where we have like fun categories. And we're just gonna talk about our collections and albums we own and stuff. But it'll be fun. I'm very excited because the two of us are very into album collecting.
We have the largest album collection of all the knee slappers. I think that Marie, I don't think, collects that much. Dan and Lucas don't really collect at all.
They're both like relatively newer into K-pop too, so they do have
and
some
they'll,
albums
collect from like a small amount of groups. They're not completionists for anyone. They'll collect the albums that they want.
They haven't been dragged into that nonsense
have
fully
all,
yet.
The twice. No, we both have detailed spreadsheets.
We do.
For what we have.
And our collections are both pretty close in size. They're like a couple albums apart, And
like we're not like we don't have insane collections. I mean, some people would call them insane because I don't even own a CD player. Yeah. And yet I have all of this.
Exactly.
But like they're not. There are people, like, if you go on YouTube, any album collector that you follow or unboxers.
Oh, we're nowhere close to that.
We're nowhere near that. Like, we're not that insane. But we do have on the larger side. Mm-hmm. But, like, in terms of how did we get into this? Why do we do what we do? Why do we spend all our, like, why is this our hobby? Yeah. I mean, it's a better hobby. It's cheaper than smoking.
Yeah, and you're not like hurting your body or other people with it. I mean, it's like it's a monetary thing.
It's cheaper than partying. Yeah, it's a hobby.
It is.
It's cheaper than a lot of other hobbies.
It's just a normal like collection hobby. So it's like the same type of people who collect like Funko Pops or anything, whatever.
Yeah, only it's albums. A lot of people find it odd that it's useless, but most collections are, to an extent, useless. Like, they're not bringing any monetary value to your life, and they're not necessarily, like, you're not using it for anything, like, they're not necessary to your life, but they bring you joy.
Yeah, it's, like, that's really the reason I like collecting albums, is because you're supporting your own, like, your favorite groups that way, which when you're an international fan, it's like one of the only ways you can really do that.
It's hard to support them.
Yeah,
it's hard to support.
And then they're really fun.
Fan, I think, like,
K-pop albums are like generally really well packaged and produced and everything. They come with more than like any Western album has, so they're just fun.
And the thing is, they're not that much more expensive than a Western album.
They're not.
Like, again, oftentimes we go to Target now to buy some K-pop albums because they've started going there, and you'll look at them, and the K-pop albums are around $20 to $25, and the regular albums or the Western albums are like $15 to $20. And you look at the size difference. Like, you pick up, like,
Map of the Soul 7.
I think both Map of the Soul 7 is like $25, and like the new, and like a jewel case CD is $15, and you're like, this is just what that is, and they're not that much more expensive, and you have so much extra stuff. You have the photo cards, the photo book, all of the extra random stuff that starts to come in albums nowadays, especially. Like, you get weird things.
They've gotten very weird recently.
We'll talk about some of our favorite, like, things that have come in albums, but, like, you get some weird things.
Yeah.
But, so, how did you start collecting albums?
I can honestly barely remember, to be perfectly honest.
It's been so long.
It's been so long.
I bought my first album, like, 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and it's like, the thing with it is, I think when you're a new K-pop fan, like, especially, like, because I was in college, so I was kind of broke, so I didn't have that much money to spend on albums at the time, and I just sort of, like, remember I would watch a bunch of unboxings, Just because, like, when you get into K-pop and you get into K-pop YouTube, that's a big part of it is just people unboxing albums.
I think that's kind of what mine came from, too. You see all the
photo books, and you're like, oh, these are
cool
looking. Like, I like them. Yeah. And, like, you just watch, like, your favorite stuff, and, like, you watch your favorite groups, and it's just like, these are awesome. Like, I want some. And, like, you kind of start to learn where to buy them and how you get them, and then you're like, I want this. And then you buy one, and then the rest is a rabbit hole, and you just have 100, 200, 300, however many you want.
Being a part of, like, the online K-pop community, like, you're gonna run into, like, album unboxings, or just, like, the promotional pictures where you have, like, the picture of the album and then what comes inside of it. And I think when I first got into K-pop, I didn't realize that K-pop albums were, like, this elaborate or, like, well-produced or well-made. And so seeing that, I was like, well, this is cool. Like, I was like, being a Western fan, I was like, well, it's also a good way to support the groups that I like, because there isn't really any other way for me to do that. And so I think that's sort of when I made the conscious decision that I was going to buy some albums. I don't think I expected it to turn into what my collection is today, but I think that's sort of how everyone gets into collecting, is, like, just being a part of, like, K-pop online. You're going to run into all sorts of, like, album collecting, like, photo card trading, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you just have to, like, they're also just now sort of become more available, and you see sort of the evolution of K-pop albums, because I own a couple of older K-pop albums. Like, I don't know if a lot of, like, especially the newer K-pop fans realize the, like, K-pop albums themselves have evolved so much. Like, I have, like, a lot of albums on my shelf that just don't come with photo cards. Photo cards were not always a thing.
Same.
Like, there's that. I have a lot of really old SHINee albums. Like, I have SHINee's first album. That album is, like, it's essentially a jewel case. It is the tiniest little thing, barely has a photo book. No photo cards. But it's still, like, and, like, you sort of see them, if you've been in K-pop long enough and you like enough older groups and you get some of their older albums, you see the evolution of, like, oh, this, and then it becomes more elaborate, and then you end up with, like, a box that comes with, like, 3 photo cards, a like, 100-page photo book, a CD, and it's like, this has sort of evolved over time.
Oh, for sure.
So, what are our rules?
So, I've tried to set rules for collecting, and then they almost they're thrown out the window, like, all the time.
So, like, I sort of like to, like, almost, like, tier list my groups, and I'm less like, well, if you're one of my favorite groups, I don't feel as bad for, like, being a completionist or buying all your albums. At some point, that'll go out the window, or, like, I'll say I will only buy one version of the album. And then you go to Target, and there's a buy 2, get 1 free sale, and you end up with 3 albums, and you didn't...
And then it's just, like, what have I done right now?
This happened to both of us, like, 2 days ago.
Yeah, like, literally 2 days ago.
So we both go to Target because we're like, Resonance just came out. NCT's Resonance. Mm-hmm. We're both NCT fans. We both own NCT albums, and we both want this album. We go to Target, and you look, and there's a buy 2, get 1 free sale. And you're like, well
now I have to.
2 versions of Resonance. Now I have to. And then we ended up, like, looking at it, and I'm like, well... I think we both ended up buying the same thing, which is we bought 2 versions of Resonance and 1 version of BTS's Love Yourself Answer.
Yep. That's what happened.
Had you owned that album?
What?
Is this your first?
That was my first copy of Answer, and I bought it because I specifically wanted the S version, and they had it, so I was like, this is perfect.
So I already own a copy of Answer, because of course I do, and I just bought a second copy because there was nothing else at Target that I wanted, and I already had the BTS School Love Affair coming to me.
Yeah, my other choices was like
be at the Target.
My other choices was like I was gonna either get another copy of the exact same version of Super M or Map of the Soul 7 that I already own, or I buy Love Yourself Answer. So
might as well just get Answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, any rule you set, there are gonna be exceptions to the rule. But generally, my rule is there's, like, a couple groups that I trust and would pre-order for.
Yeah.
And then, like, I will buy scattered albums from other groups that I really like.
Yeah.
That's
essentially
so, like,
what I am,
that I will
too.
buy. Yeah. So, like, I'll own a random album from this group, or I'll own 2 or 3 random albums from a different group, but I don't buy all their stuff. Mm-hmm. I might end up with all their albums at some point. Like, one of my rules is that I don't necessarily want all of SF9's albums. They're not in, like, my top groups that I would, like, buy every single thing. Mm-hmm. But I have almost all of them because I just like them.
Yeah.
And they're all good. Mm-hmm. I'm not buying the new special album, and I don't have, I think, their first single, but that's it. I own everything else.
Yeah.
So, like, you just end up with things.
I have 3 groups that I will buy all albums for, all versions of. So that's SF9, Infinite, and Golden Child. Infinite has thankfully never released a double version of an album, which is pretty easy, and they also haven't released music in a long time because they're, like, all in the military right now, so that has made my collecting life a little bit easier. I own, essentially all of SF9's Korean discography, all version types, because they're one of my favorite groups, and then the same thing with Golden Child. And then those are the 3 groups that I will essentially buy everything for. There's a couple other groups where I want all of their albums, but I won't go into all version types because that's just a lot.
Yeah, I will buy all BTS. Look, here's the problem with my groups is that I would buy all their versions, but they release like 4 or 5 versions of every album.
You stand the groups that release 4 versions of every album.
True. So, like, BTS is a group that I will buy every single album. And I own multiple versions of a lot of their albums. Like, I have every copy of Persona. I'm about to get every copy of Wings. At this point, I've set myself up to get every copy of Answer. And, like, I will buy multiple versions of a lot of their albums. But I cannot, money-wise, space-wise, realistically own every single version of every single BTS album.
Because that's just a lot. Many. That's so much.
It's so much. So, but BTS, I will own at least 1 copy of every album. And the same thing with 17. 17 releases like 2 to 4 to 5 copies of every album. I can't do that realistically, but I own all the copies of An Ode, all the copies of You Make My Dawn. And, like, but I own 1 of every single album. Mm-hmm. And then I also, at this point, I have at least 1 copy of every Wavy album. And I own a lot of, but that's not because I wanted it. That's just because, like, they're good. That's not a marker of groups that I absolutely stand and need every copy of. And I'm working on all the Astro albums, but finding their first albums are hard.
There is a lot of
I'm working on it.
Albums that come out where it's like I had like 0 intention of buying them, but then it comes out and the album is like really, really good. And then I was like, well, now I just need to own this. Like the Woods album, had no intention to buy that, but I was like, this album's amazing. I need it.
Same thing with me. I own a random IZ*ONE album.
You do randomly own an IZ*ONE album.
I own the newest IZ*ONE album.
You bought really that album before I did, and I actively collect IZ*ONE. True.
That is what happened. And, like, I will own, like, somehow I got into collecting Twice albums that I like. Mm-hmm. Had no point did I have an intention of collecting Twice albums, but, like, Yes or Yes came out, and I was, like, really into it. Mm-hmm. And now I just collect random Twice albums that I like, and I own about 4 of them? No, 3 of them. And that's fun. Like, you can just buy what you feel like buying. Never think that you have to collect everything that a group releases. Mm-hmm. No, just buy whatever you want. Yeah. It's your money. I think a lot of times a lot of K-pop fans are like, oh, well, if you start collecting, you have to keep collecting that group. And I'm like, no, you can just buy however much you want.
Right.
If you already own an album, does it become easier to buy another one?
No.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Well, no, it does. Like, in terms of your guilt, like, does it become easier to convince yourself to do it?
Yes. Definitely yes.
But does it make that you have to? No. Mm-hmm. So, what are some of our favorite things that we own?
Is this also where you want to mention, like, our, like, fun things that, like, come in albums that we also just like? Because I feel like that's a good place for that.
Yes. Some of the fun stuff that we've received in our albums, because There's a lot of them.
One of my favorite albums I own is actually Infinite's fully instrumental album called Infinite the Origin. And I don't know why I wanted this album so much, but as soon as I found out it existed, I was like, I need this. Like, this is so cool. And it's essentially just a bunch of their songs, but just instrumental versions. And the album itself is, like, gigantic. It's a box, and it's a 3 CD album. And it comes with a booklet that has, like, sheet music for all of the songs in there, and I think that's really cool. And it also comes with, like, a gold coin that says Infinite on it, which is, like, I'm not gonna do anything with that, but it's cool, I guess.
That's fun.
One of the more recent things that I think is really, really cool is the Lucy album. Came with an enamel pin.
We both own that.
Yeah, both of us, Dan and Lucas, all own that album. It comes with an enamel pin of, like, a man jogging because their title track was jogging, and I think that's really, really cool.
That's a very cute one.
Mm-hmm.
We also both own this album, which is just one of the weirder things that you can get in albums. We both own the Vicks Chained Up album.
Oh, yes, we do.
And that comes with your usual photo card, and then it also, depending on the version you get, comes with, and this is why that album is known as the K-pop BDSM album.
Mm-hmm.
Because it comes with a freaking
BDSM, like, contract.
Love slave contract for whatever member you get. And, like, it's a choice.
Why?
Like, it's a thing. Like, it's a full-on contract.
It is just a contract.
And, like, then I think the other version of the album has, like, the release contract or whatever, or, like, the ending of the contract. And it was a lot.
It's
when
weird.
You open that album and that's what you see.
Yep. It's fun.
And then I also think we just need to talk about how I think K-pop albums are getting a little extra.
Oh, yeah. The amount of photo cards you get in an album has gone up, like, exponentially in recent days.
Yes. Because it started with, like, one... It was usually, like, either, like, each version had a photo set, so you could get one out of however many members. And then it's just, like, never mind that, there's, like, 87 cards.
Yeah.
And you just get 5 of them in the album, and I'm like, why?
But
why so many? Why so much? Why do I get 6 photo cards an album?
I know
I like it, but it is excessive.
There are some, like, solo albums. I think one of Sungwoo's albums is like this, and I know Yang Yo-sub of Beast Highlight had a solo album like this, where there's, like, 100 and something photo cards, and you get, like, 3 of them in the album.
It's a solo album,
it's a
so you're gonna get
103 different photo cards.
I think soloists should have, like, 4 cards at best. Like, yeah, sure, give that, like, option of, like...
The Woods album was also like this. Woods had, like, 50 different stickers that you randomly got, like, 10 of, and then also, like, 20-something different photo cards you randomly got a couple of. Like, the soloist albums are really extra.
Look, we are also not people that collect photo cards.
No.
But, like,
I went through a phase of that, but I'm no longer in that phase.
Everyone does. Everyone goes through a phase of collecting. I think everyone goes through that phase of where you're like, oh, well, photo cards are cool. And they are cool. I like photo cards. And then you're like, oh, well, I didn't get my favorite member. You look at the card. It looks nice. You find it on eBay. It's kind of cheap. And you buy it.
Yep.
And then you do that, like, 3 or 4 more times.
And then you come to this realization of, like, why am I spending $10+ on a piece of paper with a photo on it?
When I could just buy another album.
Yeah.
And get all the photos of all the members inside the album.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, actually be supporting the company. But, again, there are people... And, like, I was also not super into it that I was gonna buy... because there are photo card collectors that want all of their favorite member, and that's fine. That's just not what I buy albums for, nor what I want in my collection, because that just seems like a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like actively a lot of work.
It's so much work. Because I was in that phase for a little bit, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like, this is not a fun time.
Yeah, I got to the point where I bought a couple of them, and then I looked at what it would take to get, for, like, the members I wanted to collect, what it would take, and how much stuff that they had, looked at it and was like, this is excessive. This is so a lot of cards, especially if you like newer groups. If you like newer groups, good luck hats off to you.
Oh yeah,
we're not
good
the
luck
people
with that.
we can't help you.
No.
Like, we're not the, like, if you want tips for that, there's a lot of people on YouTube. We're not those people. We can't help you.
Do you want to talk about our least favorite album packaging for a little bit?
You mean,
because,
well, there's a few here.
There's a few.
Because there's the envelope packaging, which is the fact that they will just put them in plastic or cardboard envelopes, and everything is just kind of shoved in there.
I hate it so much. In particular, for me, so of the albums I own, NCT's Limitless is the most frustratingly packaged album I've ever seen in my life, because it is in, it's not even cardboard, it's just like a cardstock paper envelope, and it was like, let's deconstruct a K-pop album, like, as much as we can. So it comes with, like,
into its, like, most basic form.
It comes with, like, 25 to 30, like, stickers in it. It's got, like, a CD case. It has, like, a random folded poster. Instead of a photo book, it's got, like, 9 or something postcards in it of, like, giant, like, square postcards. It has a lyric book that's made out of really cheap paper. It comes with another, like, member-specific postcard. It's a lot. It's, like, so much, and all of it barely fits into this said envelope, and the envelope is only sealed with a sticker.
The envelope...
So, like, you cannot close it after you opened it. It's just open forever.
Yeah. And the other thing I will say about the Limitless album is that there's a lot of albums that come in envelope style. Either that envelope is usually plastic, or an Ode album is, like, this, like, thicker material, like thicker, almost like a hybrid of plastic and cardboard. The Limitless album is just cardboard. Like, it is like very, very, like, I'm afraid that thing is gonna break. I'm afraid that thing is just gonna rip.
I just put it in a plastic sleeve because I'm looking at it. It's just sitting there open. It's made out of, like, paper. And I'm just like, I can't have this just, like, here anymore. I need to, like, do something with it because it's, like, stressing me out that it's here. It's just so much. It's like, there's so many, like, individual things that come with it. And I'm like, this is, like, the least convenient way to ever package an album.
Like, the other, I have one that I own, which is the newest 17 album. So we recorded this before Semicolon came out. So it's the Hengere album, which is essentially comes to you in a plastic sleeve, which it closed by a sticker. When you open it, you are given, like, 4 or 5 individual small photo books, which is whatever. You're also then given a page that just has the CD on it, which is normal, and you're also given 2 screws. You have to screw the album in yourself and make it. It's a DIY K-pop album. DIY K-pop album. I sat there. I know that Lucas ended up needing to get a screwdriver for his. I actually managed to do it with my hands, and then you get it, and it's still entirely, like, made of cardboard, so I'm scared it's gonna fall apart because I did screw this in myself, and I don't trust myself, so I just put it back in the sleeve, because the sleeve is also, like, it has the members' names on it, so it's not something I want to throw away. Mm-hmm. So essentially, the album is now just in a plastic bag on my shelf. Yeah. And that is just what that album is. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a choice. I think they wanted to maybe give you an activity.
Apparently, 17 is apparently really into giving you activities to do with the album.
Because
recently.
Semicolon, I have not received it yet. It's not out yet, but it will come with a weaving kit and instructions on how to weave.
I'm just like,
so maybe that's just a talent I will just learn.
They're sending people needles and, like, a weaving kit in every album. I'm like,
there's
what?
a needle. Apparently that's what 17 wants to do. They want to just give you hobbies. Mm-hmm. It's fine. It's hobbies and, like, 8 photo cards. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I bought all 5 versions of an Ode, and I have, like, 4 solid because it comes with, like, 4 cards and a sticker. So it comes with, total, I got 25 photo cards from that album, the 5 versions that I got. And I'm like, that's a lot.
It's so many.
It is. But it's 13 people. It kind of makes more sense. And I still didn't get every single member.
Yeah.
I missed like 2. I think I was missing the 8 and I think Hoshi. I think I got everybody else but those 2.
Dang.
At least 1. But yeah, no, those are probably some of the worst styles of packaging. I also don't love jewel cases. I just think that they're lazy.
Jewel cases are lazy, yeah. I usually only see jewel cases for Japanese releases.
That and like SM will do them for some of their like repackages. Like I know a couple of the shiny repackages are jewel cases, like Married to the Music and One of One. And I know a couple of Red Velvet. I think that like one of the like the repackage that has Bad Boy on it, I think is a jewel case.
Yeah.
Like I know that SM used to do it a decent amount. I think they've like strayed away from it a little bit, but they're just a little lazy, I think. So what album do you think has the best packaging?
So this is a weird one, but I think Big Bang's Made album is one of the coolest packaged albums that I own because it straight up has a canvas photo in it. It comes in a box, and then inside the box is a straight up canvas, like a canvas. And then it has, depending on which version it has different things on it, which granted, the canvas thing that's in there is not, like, very elaborate at all. Mine is the group version, so it just has all the members' names on it. It just is, like, made 2016 or whatever year it came out in. And then it comes with just this. And then in, like, the way it's packaged is, like, the back side of the canvas is forward, and then they stick the CD and the photo book thing inside the little hole in the back of the canvas. Yeah, with, like, the photo card. And I think it's, like, really creative. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I also like, this is a newer, the Oh My Girl Nonstop album. Because it just comes with a poster that's also, like, playing, like, a board game board.
Oh, that's really cool.
And one of, like, you'll get a photo card, but you also get, like, one of the member as, like, a piece of a game.
That's cute.
It's very cute. It's, like, a thicker cardboard, too, so if, like, you actually stood it up and took it out, it would actually stand. It's actually really cute. And honestly, I think that just, like, things like that actually make an album, like, unique like that.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like, we make fun of the weaving kit. But will I remember the weaving kit? Yes. Is it something that I'm... Like, is it slightly more interesting than just getting, like, a little photo card or a bookmark or something like that? Yeah, it's slightly more memorable.
Yeah.
The canvas is memorable. Stuff like that is just like
that in terms of like memorable stuff. I remember the Udavix album comes with a like essentially like a perfume sample.
Yes.
And then in it, and I thought that was really cool for like the whole theme of that album.
So what do you kind of wish albums would stop putting, like people would just stop putting in albums? Because I have one.
I don't want stickers anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
please,
I don't want more. I don't want all these stickers. Like, what am I... Because I personally feel bad putting... Like, I'm not going to put them on anything because they came with an album, so I feel like I just need to stick them in a binder and, like, that's it. But then I just have all these stickers. I don't want to
fill my binder up with stickers.
Yeah.
So I just leave them in the album. Oh, my favorite thing is that there's a funny story with that. I have the Cards first album, Cards Ola Ola album.
I also own that.
And it comes with a sticker sheet.
It does come with a sticker sheet.
Does your sticker sheet not come... Was your sticker sheet not were the stickers not cut?
Oh, I don't know. They might not, because I have several that are not pre-cut. Because NCT's Limitless, big surprise, came with this uncut sticker sheet that was a member-specific thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, a lot of albums will end up with, like, uncut stickers where even if you wanted to use the stickers, essentially you just have
to cut them out yourself.
Page. Yeah. You have to cut them out yourself. And it's like, no. So now they're just stuck in the album forever.
Please stop with the stickers.
Please stop putting in stickers.
I don't want stickers anymore.
I also don't necessarily love some of, like, the random, like transparent cards.
Oh, I hate transparent cards. I have a bunch of them and they're not fun. I don't like them.
No. Because it's like, I mean, they're transparent, so do I have to put like a piece of paper behind it so I can see who it is?
I know, it's like when I stick those in a binder, I straight up stick like a piece of like white paper behind it because you can't tell what it is.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that
I think, like...
Another thing that I hate that only Golden Child has done is make poster-sized photo cards. And I'm like, because Golden Child albums now are gigantic. I don't know why.
They're massive.
They're massive.
They're very tall.
Yeah, and 3 of them, from Wannabe, Without You, and then Take a Leap, they have... like poster-sized photo cards. Like, it's a photo card because it had just, and like, a singular picture.
I mean that they are too big to put in a binder. They're the size. Than a binder.
It's the size of the album. It is gigantic, and it's like straight up formatted like a photo card because there's a signature on the back. It has just a member picture on the front, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, it's too big to do anything with.
Look, at this point, I just kind of stick it at the bottom of my shelf, and every once in a while, I'll just find Dale, just sort of looking at it.
Just like a giant picture of Dale, yeah.
Hi, how are you? Let's move on.
Yes.
Because he's just like, he just looks at me, and I'm like, okay.
Okay.
This is too big.
They're so big.
I also think that, like, I don't know, I think that, like, overall albums are, like, there's, like, other than the envelopes, K-pop albums are packaged pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, like some of them are obviously better than others. I kind of like the box packaging because I always feel like nothing is going to fall out packaging, and nothing is going to...
That's my favorite kind, I think. I'm also... I like the book packaging that has, like, an outer sleeve on it. I like those. Those are nice.
Yeah, the book packaging. One of my favorite albums, and this is just because I think it's absolutely gorgeous, is Wavy's second album, Take Over the Moon, because it has this, like, gorgeous cover, and, like, all of the, I forget what the term for it is in books, it has, like, the pages on the outside are gold instead of, like, the normal page color.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, and, like, the photo book itself is really, really pretty, but, like, it's, like, I just think it looks gorgeous because all the lettering is gold and the album is, like, bright red.
Ooh.
So, like, it's really pretty. And it's just a normal book packaging without a sleeve, but I think it's just one of the prettier versions of that. And, like, most of the time you end up with, like, either book packaging, box packaging, and that's really it.
Mainly everything can be split into a box or a book packaging.
Or a book and a book with a sleeve.
With a sleeve,
and that's really it. Or a box with a sleeve. You also get those sometimes, which I don't get.
Right. That doesn't seem to be a point to putting a sleeve on a box, yeah.
But you know, it happens, I guess. I don't know what I guess just flourishes.
Sure, why not?
I also want to point out that I like big photo books. Just because I think that you get a lot for your money if you get, like, a massive photo book. I want to point out that I have the 2 NCT Resonance albums in front of me right now, and they are the size of a like a YA paperback novel.
They're very large.
Thick as, like, they're very thick. I mean, you have 23 people, but they're very thick.
Yeah.
And, like, some companies are better at it than others. Some companies will give you, like, big photo books, and some will just give you very thin photo books. Like, my biggest concern with a lot of the, I own 2 Icon albums. Half their photo books have, like, blank pages in them.
Amazing.
They're big photo books, but they're blank pages.
Blank.
I'm like, why, G?
What are you doing?
Like, it'll be, like, you open the page, and, like, one page will have something, and one page will be blank. I'm like, why, G?
Please.
Just make the photo book smaller. Don't waste the paper at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've talked about our favorites.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about our tips for people that want to get into collecting and how
Sure.
So, we each have, like, a reasonable size. You have
127-ish.
I have 131 albums. And so, like, we're, like, that's, like, I don't even know.
I mean, in relative terms, it's, like, pretty large, but in comparison to a lot of people who collect, like, it's not really that large. But
it's not massive.
Yeah.
No. Like, anybody with an actual, like, collection channel will have,
like,
a 300,
at least
300
plus, yeah.
At least 300, usually, like, 500 or more, and they're constantly, like, getting and selling, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, we are just people that collect what we like and keep it, because I don't really want to sell my albums.
I don't either, so. I wouldn't be buying them if the goal was just to sell them eventually.
Yeah. And also, like, I think about the groups that you want to collect. Because, like, I know a lot of times people that buy and sell a lot of albums are buying albums to, like, that they, like, kind of like. And then you sell them because you're like, well, really, I'm not into that group anymore. Which is fine. Yeah. It's just, like, it takes me forever to decide to buy a group's album.
Yeah.
Because it's just, like, I'm, like, thinking of, like, well, what if I don't like them in a week? What if I don't think that they're, like, what if their next comeback disappoints me?
Right.
What if their next comeback makes me not want to buy? But at that point, that's why I don't buy every album from every group. You just kind of buy what you like.
Right, right. This is the thing that I sort of learned when I was starting off. So if you're US-based, there is a lot of US K-pop stores you can buy from, which is something I did not know when I first got into collecting, which makes it a lot easier because the shipping turnaround is a little bit faster, and also shipping is just cheaper because they're US-based.
They're US-based, and they get the albums. They'll take a little bit longer. I will say, they do take a bit.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is, it might take longer because the stuff usually has to get, especially if you're buying new albums.
It has to get shipped to the store, and then the store has to get it to you. So there's a little bit more time, like dead time there. But shipping from directly
Korea, already released album.
Yeah,
yeah. If it is an already released album, like if it was released a couple months ago, it shouldn't take that. It's just like getting something shipped from a store.
I think shipping directly from like Korean-based stores though also would take like 3 to 4 weeks to ship anyway because of international reasons. So it's like Also, the pricing ends up being not that different because if you're buying Korean-based stores, the pricing for the albums will be lower, but the shipping cost will make up for it.
Will be insane.
But in the US stores, the prices for the albums are a little bit more expensive, but the shipping is cheaper. So honestly, they end up being like similar in price
about
anyway.
The same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, if you live in a city or if you live around anything like that, like if you live, you can just, there are a lot of K-pop stores that just exist.
Yeah.
Like, you can look them up. They'll end up
New York, LA, like, albums definitely have a bunch.
New York, LA, yeah. Mainly that.
Anywhere else, it's like good luck finding one.
I mean, try. See if they, like, there's a couple that pop up randomly all over the country. So just see how far it would be. Because I know sometimes, like, I personally end up finding it easier just for me to go and order them online than actually make my way into New York City. But, like, depending on where you live, that might not be the case.
Right. Also, this is the thing we talked about right before the episode, was that if you're thinking about buying, like, you're seriously starting to get into collection, buy all your albums from one store. Because a lot of the stores have rewards programs, and if you're just gonna buy things anyway, you might as well be, like, saving up reward points to, like, I don't know, save $5 after a while or whatever.
So, like, especially, like, if you're buying something pricier, just sort of, like, keep buying them from the same store, set up an account, they're really easy. You'll end up, I think I've saved, like, $20 at this point.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like, we use Music Plaza a lot, personally.
I do. I use mostly Music Plaza. I will go on...
Yeah.
With Target and Amazon now having K-pop albums, that's, like, occasionally I'll go to that for ease, but...
Yeah, the thing with Amazon, especially, like, if you have Amazon Prime, sometimes the album is just way easier to get there. If it's, like, slightly older to get on Amazon Prime. Like,
Amazon
waited
prices
and the album's been out for, like, a month.
Amazon prices can be a little bit inflated, though, so it's a little bit of a trade-off. Yeah. So you just have to... Yeah. It's a case-to-case thing.
Like, keep an eye on it, because sometimes you'll end up finding a K-pop album for, like, $15, and it's on Prime.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's, like,
there's
prime
nothing better than that, but
there,
you have to you just have to keep an eye on what you're looking for, like, sometimes if you don't need it, like, right now, just keep an eye on the prices. Sometimes you'll get them cheaper.
Yep.
And, like, especially if you have, like, the bigger groups, Target has the dreaded buy two, get one free sale.
Yep.
Which can be good and bad.
It's a dangerous thing.
It's a dangerous thing, but, like, if you want to have all versions of an album, buy two, get one free, you now have three copies.
Yep. Oh, right. So, So to touch on something next, so me and Sammy have both gotten into photo card selling pretty recently, within like the last couple of weeks. And that's been an adventure of a time.
It's been a fun adventure because, like, I like my photo cards. I do. But I always found that I just never looked at them, ever.
Yeah, same.
And there are people that are...
I have 3 binders full of photo cards, and at some point I just realized, like, what do I have this for? Like, what are they doing? Like, what am I gonna ever, like, need or want these for?
And it's like, I don't need this. I kind of don't even want this like, I like them, but I could use the money that is given to me for selling them to buy more.
Yep.
And that's sort of what we've started doing. I think that, like, eBay selling is very simple.
It's very easy.
And also, it's very easy. Like, if you're someone that does not care about their photo cards, sell the photo cards that come with the album. Even if you get, like, $5 for it, it's $5 you didn't have. It makes the albums cheaper.
Yeah.
It's a less strain on you and your wallet. And, like, there's people that just genuinely like them. And, like, I know people that will buy albums specifically to sell the photo cards.
Oh, yeah. That's a dangerous game to get into. To just buy albums you don't want to sell the photo cards, but
because you don't know what's going to sell. Like, there's cards that I thought would sell for more money than they did, and there's cards that I never imagined would be worth this much money.
Same.
That I just randomly had for, like, 2 years in a binder.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've had a lot of photo cards in, like, the 2 weeks I've been selling them, sold for, like, $20+. And I'm like, this is not what I expected from this.
Yep, like, and it's also not what you expected from that particular card.
Exactly. Like, I have a Super Junior
why are you this expensive?
Super Junior Unhyuk card that sold for $20, and I'm like, this is not the one I thought was gonna give me big money, but here we are.
But again, all you take is just to find someone that's been looking for that card for a while. And yet here you are.
And eBay's a good place for that, because that's where a lot of people go to buy photo cards.
And also eBay's a good place to, like, if you're looking for photo cards, eBay's a good place because you have that, like, you're dealing with a company, not a Facebook group, which, again, Facebook groups can be good, but you always have that, like, extra...
There's a lot of risk there.
There's more risk there. On both sides.
Yeah.
On both sides for that. So, like, eBay is slightly more... controlled.
Yep.
And also, if you're gonna sell photo cards, eBay is really good for just getting you, like, shipping labels.
Yeah, that's really helpful, is getting the shipping through eBay.
So I think that's all our tips and tricks for collecting and everything. So now we get to the fun part.
Yay.
Where we just have a couple of questions, almost like a tag, but there is no K-pop tag, so we've made one ourselves.
So we've made our own. Here we are.
We've made our own. So what was the first album you got?
So I bought 2 albums simultaneously at the first time for my first album, and it was BTS Wings and Infinite's Infinite Only. That was, like, the time I just started getting into K-pop, and those were 2 of the first groups that I were really into. The Wings album I bought because I was into BTS, like, not as much as I am now, but I loved that entire album. I thought it was a really
also,
pretty
like, BTS has sort of become everyone's first album.
Yeah. And then Infinite was my first K-pop group I got into, and that was the first comeback that I was, like, actively a fan of Infinite that Infinite had. So it was a good time. I was like, I'm just gonna buy it because why not? Like, it's my favorite group. And this is the first comeback with them. I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first album I bought at KCON New York 2016. So I bought it in person. Which, again, fun thing with KCONs, do your research before you actually buy them at a convention like that, because a lot of times you will overpay.
Price inflation, yes.
Price inflation. Like, you have to actually look at it realistically, because sometimes the price inflation makes sense because you're not paying for shipping, so they are cheaper, and then other times you've just overpaid. I overpaid for this album. But I didn't know because I was just so new to it. So, like, learn from my mistakes. Don't do this. And it was BTS's Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Young Forever, which was the album, like, it was also, like, BTS was at KCON 2016. I was really excited. So I just bought it. Because why not?
Why not?
Why not? And so that was, like, that was the album. That was my first album.
So for our next question is, what is the most expensive K-pop album that you own?
So mine I didn't buy.
You did not?
Mine was a gift. Mine was actually a gift from Kayla, Dan, and Lucas, who surprised me with this for my birthday. And it was Unique's EUEU album. It's the only album Unique has, and it is regularly sold for over $100 on Reddit, on eBay, on K-pop, like, Facebook groups, all of that. Regularly, I've never seen that album for under $100. They say they paid less than $100 for it, and that is technically the most expensive album that I own. Like, market value, it was the price of a regular K-pop album. It's like a $20-something K-pop album.
Yeah.
Realistically, you're paying $100 for it.
At least. Like, if not, like, much more. Least.
I've seen them listed for like $200.
The photo cards for that album go for like $100 a piece.
Because they're rare. I don't even have one. The album and the photo cards have been separated for years.
Yeah.
And like, that's not even like the expensive members of Unique will go for $100. Those photo cards. That's like the.
Oh, I'm sure the ones like Wang Yibo are going for like $250. Like.
I believe it. Yeah. Like, those are the ones that are, like, truly insane. But, like, in terms of an album that I bought the first Wavy album, which I paid, like, $45 for, because the first Wavy album was not sold in Korea. It was only sold in China, so the only place I found to get it was through an eBay seller based out of Hong Kong. So the Takeoff album you had to buy through eBay, and it was like a fully sealed album. It was a new album, but like you just couldn't find it on any K-pop mart or K-pop shops or anything like that because it wasn't released that way. And then now recently, I think SM realized that they can make money and not just have people go through back alleys to get it, but that's actually the one that I paid for. That is the most expensive. But that Unique album is my, like, holy grail item.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Kayla, yours?
I think the most expensive album I own is 10 Stories Limited Edition by Sungyu. And I remember when I tried to buy this album, I resorted to having to go back to K-pop Mart to buy it because it wasn't listed anywhere else, and it was like a limited print, so I needed to buy it when it came out, or else I was like never gonna get it and have to pay like double the amount of money for it. But it was only like, with shipping, I think it was close to like $40 or $50, which honestly isn't even that much compared to other albums, but I think that's the most I've spent on a singular album.
Yeah, I think that maybe the one I bought have recently gotten worse, because I did buy I just remembered I bought the School Love Affair special edition. Yeah. And that's like $50. So like, I'm a BTS completionist. I needed to have it. That album was selling for $300. God bless the people that actually bought it.
I feel so bad for the people who bought that for $300. I feel so bad.
That album had been... So the story with that album came out when School Love Affair came out. Before BTS was a big thing. Before BTS became what they are now. Like, that was before Dark and Wild. Like, that was a while ago. And now they just decided to re-release it. And for $50. I'd never seen that album for less than $150.
Yeah, that was an expensive album.
Once. That's a very expensive album, because it's an album and 2 DVDs. So it's technically more of like a concert album, which is why it's like $50. But not many sold, so like there were just none in the ether. It's the same thing with the Unique album. There were just none available because so few sold when it came out. Yep. So the next question is, do we have any signed albums? And both of us have a couple.
Yes. So I have 5. 4 of them are M-Wave albums. I don't know where the other one came from, to be perfectly honest.
It appeared from the ether.
Yeah. So I have SF9's Knights of the Sun, all members signed. New SW here, that is Ren signed. K&K Awake, that is all members signed. Card Gunshot, that is all members signed. And then Cross Jeans, Play With Me. that is all members signed, and also the largest K-pop album I own, because that album is gigantic.
That thing is a massive thing.
It's gigantic. Does not fit on any shelf, ever. It's huge.
No. It's too big.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, which one do you not know where it came from?
The cross-gene one, I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it was an M-Wave or if it was just like a random thing that happened sometime, but I really don't know.
Cool. So I have 3 signed albums. I have Cards, Ride on the Wind, all members signed. I have BAP's Rose, which is Young J signed. And I have Oh My Girls Remember Me, which is all members signed. I've never actually bought an M-Wave album. The Card and the Oh My Girl albums I won from, like, random K-pop contests I would just enter.
Ooh.
Which was fun. And then the BAP album I bought at a K-Con. And it was because they just had a stack of signed... There were, like, 30 signed BAP albums. Random member signed, and they were selling them for, like, $15.
I probably would have bought that too, like, to be perfectly honest, if I was there and just had that opportunity.
Album, like, this album sells, like, if I had to buy this album right now, and it came with a postcard and everything, so it was like a full album, it just wasn't sealed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, why not? Why not? I had to figure out who signed it myself.
Yeah.
And I was just, like, combing through BAP signatures to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I was like, it's $15. The album itself is worth more than $15. Might as well. So next question is, what light sticks / other merch do we own?
Yes. This is fun. So this is like the category where this is, if we were counting this in most expensive, this is definitely where, like, I've spent the most money, because these things are expensive.
Yeah, this is where the money goes to, because albums themselves, unless you get, like, a rare thing, because rare things are common as I've, like, rare shit, but, like, in terms of monetary value, K-pop
like
light sticks are, at least if you buy them in the US,
I think they're around $60.
But I think, what are they?
Yeah.
The $60 plus shipping? $50
so
plus shipping?
I own 2 light sticks. I have Infinite's version 2 light stick and SF9's version 1 light stick. I bought the SF9 version 1 light stick right before they announced the version 2 light stick, so I was very upset about it.
I remember that day.
I was like, why?
I remember that day. You were like, I think it was like a week later, you come and you're just like, why did I do this?
I also own SF9's first photo book, which I think that is the most money I've spent on anything, because that was like $90. I have Infinite's 2018 Season's Greetings. I have the BTS Dynamite vinyl, which is fun.
Which, unfortunately, none of us could get, like, the version of, so we had to buy them as,
and I also have
eBay
a concert
resellers.
hoodie and unofficial light stick for Day 6, because I went to their 2017 concert.
Mm-hmm. So I have 17's version 2 light stick, Infinite's version 2 light stick, Astro's version 2 light stick, Shiny's light stick, which I think only has one version, and BTS's version 2 light stick. I think the most expensive of that might have been BTS, because I bought it around BTS's concert, and that always price inflates it. Yeah. And then I have the Dynamite cassette tape. I have a BTS V Funko Pop, because of course I do. I have BTS N17 concert hoodies. I have a BTS official Save Me lyric book, because BTS did this thing like 2 months ago where they released a series of 5 illustrated lyric books. I think it was like Save Me, House of Cards,
I think Young Forever might have been one of them.
And a few other ones.
Yeah.
Young
Butterfly,
Forever, and I think a 5th one. And I bought one of them, and I bought the Save Me one. And, well, yeah, Butterfly. And I bought the Save Me one, and it's really pretty, and it's just very, very nice and very well done. And then I have a signed 10 poster from NCT, which I got from Lucas, because he was like, I don't want this. I'm like, I want it. I'll take it. And then I have some BT21 merch. Is that merch? I don't know if that's merch. Yeah. So I have a keychain that my friend got for me, and I have a little hair tie that has a little... So I have the Tata keychain, and I have a little shookie that I just keep in my car because it's a hair tie and I can't wear those kind of hair ties because they give me a headache. So I just have it on like my gear change in my car, and he's just kind of hanging out there. So like I have a lot of random BTS releases a lot of random merch.
BTS has so
especially
much
when you
merch.
start counting BT21, which is so much merch.
So the next question is for which groups we have complete album discographies for.
So I have a complete album discography for BTS, which I collect their entire Korean discography and all of their Japanese full albums. I don't collect multiple versions of everything because that's a lot.
Much. For BTS, that's a lot.
That's too much. Yeah. So I'm only missing, I think, 2 of their Japanese albums and I'll be done. Because I have School Love Affair coming and then otherwise I'm up to date. And then I collect 17, at least one of everything, and full Japanese albums. And then, inadvertently, I have become I have all the Way V albums. If you want to get technical about it, I have every Way V album and I have every TXT album.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to be a completionist for Oh My Girl, but their first album's impossible to find.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's
you just can't.
You can't.
It's just expensive. It's
so
just expensive. It's too... The few times you see it, it's like way out of my price range, and I'm not paying that much money for it, so I guess I'm not a completionist for Oh My Girl.
And then Unique. You have a complete
Kayla.
Unique collection.
And I have a complete Unique collection. With one album, I have a complete Unique collection.
So I have Infinite's entire Korean discography group plus subunits. So I have all Infinite Korean albums plus Infinite H plus To Heart plus Infinite F. I have all of those. I'm really also very close to having that complete with solo albums because I am missing one Seungyu album, but I have Hoya's album and I also have one of Luhyun's albums, so I'm pretty close on that too. I have SF9's complete Korean discography, multiple versions included. I think that's my most complete collection. I'm very proud of it because I have a lot of SF9 stuff.
Well, yeah, you end up because you stand groups that only have one version.
I know
of an
Infinite
album.
only has one version for every album, which is great. It's actually amazing. I would like them to never release multiple album versions, please. SF9 only does 2.
No, Infinite. Start releasing everything as
4
multiple versions. You know what I'm... Yeah, and you know what? You know what's also difficult? If anybody has Astro's Summer Story and Autumn Story, hit me up in the comments below. Please. I've been looking for them for years. Help me. Help a girl out, and then I'll be done with it. And then I'll have every Astro album as well.
I also have that Infinite.
I also love that I've at this point done it twice, where I've asked our fans for help.
I also have that Infinite full
trying.
instrumental album, so that's just like an extra that I have in that collection.
You just have.
I also have 3 SF9 Japanese albums that I decided after I bought those that I wasn't going to do Japanese albums for them because all of their Japanese stuff is just their Korean songs in Japanese, and that's kind of dumb.
You don't need that in your life.
I have a...
That's why I don't collect Japanese singles.
Japanese is like... I'm not even going to start with
songs.
the Japanese stuff for anybody because that's not a thing I want to do. I have Golden Child's complete Korean discography. Well, I guess they really only have a Korean discography. I'm missing the limited edition of Reboot, and I would like to get that at some point, but that's really the only thing I'm missing from Golden Child. And Flying, I have... So everything from the edition of Huesung forward, I have at least one copy of their albums from that. Awesome and Lonely are pretty impossible to find at this point, so I don't know if I'm going to actually ever get that. And then if we're going to get technical terms, I also own one of every version, one of a version of IZ*ONE's albums now. And also I have one version of each JBJ album. And they're not releasing any more music ever.
Oh, I also have one version of every JBJ album. Yeah. I also own one version of every JBJ album I have. Also, do you want to talk here about our spreadsheet?
Yes, I have a spreadsheet for my albums.
So we all have spreadsheets for our albums. Some of them are just, it includes just, they exist and they're an easy way. Like if you just open up a normal Google sheet and it's just an easy way to figure out like how bad you've gotten. And it's also an easy way to keep up with how many albums you have because
it is very nice because I'm the kind of person who's very organized and I enjoy having just like a complete list of everything that I own in like a spreadsheet. Yes.
And also I also need to know the things that I need because I will just forget like that half of this exists in the moment of like, oh, I'm trying to figure out what I need to buy or what I want to buy. And it can just get like, you know, sometimes you just need a little extra reminder. So, like, these are really easy just to make. And, like, they're fun.
Next question is the largest single K-pop order that we have made. Which is fun.
So, we have a very similar order where, like, you had 10 albums and I had 9 albums. And it was just, like, early on... No, mine was, like, 2 years... When did BTS World come out? You can do yours while I try to figure out when I made this order. So my first
thing was when I had just gotten into album collecting and I had made the conscious decision that I was going to collect all of Infinite's albums. And at the time, I was on, like, a summer research internship and I was getting paid, like, a decent amount of money for that. So I'm like, I'm going to buy a bunch of K-pop albums as, like, a gift to myself. So I bought Infinite's First Invasion, In Spirit, Evolution, Paradise, Destiny, New Challenge, Season 2, Be Back in Reality all at once, which is essentially all of the albums they had released up to that point, with the exception of Over the Top, which is out of print and was a little bit harder to find, and then Infinite Eyes, which for some reason, it's not out of print, but it is also another one of theirs that is a little harder to find. And then I also got NCT's Cherry Bomb randomly in that order because that came out over the summer and I loved that song and I was like, might as well just add that on here too.
So mine was like last year because I was like working and at some point I was just like looking at my spreadsheet and coming up with like things that I just did not have or I had just not bought yet. So like albums that had come out when I was broken in college and just never got around to buying again. So I got Sistar Sweet and Sour, Infinite's Rebirth, ATEEZ's Treasure Episode 3 All to One, SF9's RPM, 17's You Make My Dawn, BTS's School Love Affair, and I pre-ordered BTS World, the original soundtrack, Astro's Winter Dream, and Taemin's Press It. So these are just like me filling in a bunch of collections that I just had already started. And like I pre-ordered the BTS World soundtrack because
why not? Because
yes, I was gonna own that. Of course I was.
If I owned the freaking like Infinite full instrumental album, I think.
Trust me, BTS World is basically an instrumental album for that mobile game.
Oh, this is another time where I'm going to ask. This is where I'm going to ask your listeners for help again. I also would really like to own Lovely's full instrumental album, Muse on Music. If anyone knows where I can buy that, because I literally can't find it anywhere. So, viewers, help.
See, I'm not the only one asking for help from our listeners. Imagine this is where we get help. All right, so. Up next, we have fun K-pop stories. What are the fun stories that you have for when you... Fun or weird stories from when you bought K-pop
albums? So I have one story
albums?
that's more fun than it is bad, because my other story is just bad and disappointing. So I've done group orders for SF9 albums from Breaking Sensation all the way through RPM. There's a girl who did it in one of the Facebook K-pop like selling groups I'm in that was absolutely amazing, and I love doing it through her because she got everything on time and everything, and she's also the reason I have full photo card sets for 3 SF9 albums. But because of that,
that's insane.
Yeah, because of that, I have all Zuho photo cards from Breaking Sensation through RPM because I would always get the members that I asked for, which was nice. So that's fun. That was a really easy way for me to just confirm that I always got Zuho photo cards because I never have pulled him once. So
I pull him all the time.
I've never once pulled him, and it's really sad.
All the time. I pull him and Rowoon all the time.
I pull a lot of Rowoon, but I've never once pulled Zuho. Any Zuho photo card I have is because I either bought it or because I did these group orders. My other story, which is a lot less fun, is about my NCT Regular Irregular album, which I bought it in FYE, which number one was a big mistake because it was overpriced by a lot. And so when I was looking at it, it was
don't buy FYE albums. Please don't. They're overpriced.
Please don't.
Also, don't buy albums from Barnes and Noble.
Also a bad
overpriced.
Idea. So the album itself was in this outer plastic covering, which is just a thing that I think the store put on it as like an extra thing. And there was like a weird crack on that thing, and I was like, okay, it's whatever. I'm just gonna buy the album. I bring the album home. I take it out of the plastic packaging. It wasn't a crack on the outer plastic covering. Someone had straight up like massacred the plastic envelope it came in, because Regular Irregular is one of these stupid envelope albums that came in like a plastic envelope. Straight up cut the album open from the opposite side that the envelope opens on. So they didn't even like undo the sticker, and like the sticker was just ruined. They straight up cut like an uneven line through the other side of the envelope, and it was just ruined. And like now when I store it, I can't even close it because the side of the envelope that's not meant to be open is just ripped apart and like disgusting, and it makes me really upset. It's really pretty tragic. And it's even more annoying because I paid like so much stupid extra money for that one too.
Yeah. So I have so for my interesting story, this also happened at KCON because all my fun stories happen when I almost get this is the reason why I have a jewel case. It's one of my only jewel cases for Shiny's 1 and 1, the repackage of 1 of 1, and it's cracked. Because I almost got trampled at a KCON once. So, me and my friend are there. We had just bought albums, and, like, everything at KCON New York at that time, this was 2017, was outdoors. Because they didn't actually have a convention center. They were just, like, it was just in the parking lot. Which is fine. It's whatever. Sure. And, like, we're standing there by the main stage, and at one point, we're talking, and I just see people running toward us. And I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but might as well stick around and see what's happening. And then, Highlight comes out, because Highlight was there. So Highlight comes out. This is all a bunch of stuff that has some, like, Olympic stuff. It's cute. And I also get stuck right next to one of those, like, either it was press, but I'm 90% sure she was actually just a fan site. Because she had those, like, big, like, professional-looking cameras. And, like, she's just trying to get forward and essentially pushing everybody out of her way. And I'm like, girl, don't touch me. Relax. Don't push me. But at some point, they start throwing bears. Just for, like, gifts to the crowd. And then these girls go crazy. And they just start backing up. Everyone starts backing up to get their stuff. And they just essentially back up very quickly. And throw me and like 3 other people to the ground. Onto the pavement. Because this is just a outside. And just outside. Like, also no one helps. Great. So it's just like, we're just on, like, me and like 2 other people I don't know are just on the floor. On the ground, just like, hi. I don't even get nothing comes in. No one that actually did any of this even grabbed one of those bears, by the way. Like, it came nowhere near them. I'm just on the floor. And then I look down and I see it, and it has a crack down the back. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever.
Just so
Whatever.
Sad.
I'm done.
Just thrown to the ground at a KCON.
Just thrown to the ground and also shoved out of the way by a fan site. No, they're as intense as they seem, by the way. The fan sites are as intense as they seem. They're a lot. But that was fun.
So fun.
Also, I once legitimately thought, because of the Target buy 2, get 1 free, I was, like, very, very close to pre-ordering 3 Super M albums for their not knowing anything about Super M. just had everything in my cart looking at it like it's buy two get one free.
Maybe I need like 3 of them, yeah.
Maybe I need 3 of them for this group. I don't. They were also like $12.
Right,
an album.
They're so cheap. That Super album was so cheap.
I'm like, at this point, I was like, just like super considerate, and then I'm like, girl, no,
relax.
No, you don't know what this is gonna be. And then turns out I was correct.
Good thing you don't own 3 of them now.
Good thing I just don't own 3 Super M albums.
Great, and then to end it off, so, we're just gonna mention the albums that we have.
We're gonna expose ourselves. We're gonna mention
the albums we have on the way, because we constantly have K-pop albums on the way, essentially, is how it works.
I constantly have like 2, like, but at this point you try to be like, well, no. I only have 1 Music Plaza order.
There was a point in time I had 3 separate Music Plaza orders just ready.
I have 3 Music Plaza orders. So, okay, you go first. Because yours is less insane than mine.
So I have ordered all 3 versions of Golden Child's Pump It Up, because of course I did. And then also SF9's Special History book, because those are the groups I collect. And then I also did the Make Star for K&K's album Ride. So that is shipping soon. I just got a notification about it the other day.
Alright. And I have
the big hit label stand over here.
B limited edition. Yeah. So I already pre-ordered BTS's B, the limited edition version from Target, because of course I did. And then I have BTS's School Love Affair and 3 copies of Wings, because I only own 1 copy of Wings. And it's my favorite BTS album, so I thought probably I should have all the versions of that. Because this is the person I am. And I also have 17 semicolon on the way, TXT's Blue Hour, MCND's Earth Age, because that's the new group I've decided to add to the collection. It's fine. We're fine. And then I also have OneWe's demo album, which is just, I don't know what it is, but I wanted it, yeah. And I got it. And it has parting, and I think it's part of the stuff from all their concert. Like, it has all of, like, the actual recordings of the stuff that they did at their concert, which was all cool. new stuff. Yeah. So now that's what I have on the way to me. Because we just needed to expose ourselves
more than we already have on this episode.
I think this was just us exposing ourselves
and our K-pop
everything
collection addiction. It's fine.
Yes. It's fine, though.
It'll be fine.
Trust me, we're not nearly as bad as other people.
No, like, when I look at other people's collection, I'm like, I'm not that bad. But I am running out of space to put my K-pop albums, though, so...
Yeah, I need to start deciding on what books I really need.
Exactly. So, this is the end of our K-pop collection episode, which we hope you enjoyed, and hopefully, if you're looking into starting collecting, we were able to be a little bit of help, at least. A
little bit.
Yes.
Hopefully.
So if you're listening to this on YouTube, you're also on all of the podcasting sites like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. If you're listening to us on one of those sites, we also have a YouTube channel called Slappin Kpop Podcast, where we also post a lot of fun clip videos every week. And then we have a Twitter as well, where we will tweet usually just about the episodes, but also we'll make occasional fun tweets as well. And we also have a K-pop collection Instagram that is going to be collected between all of us. And I think this is the episode where we have decided now we're going to start posting on the Instagram. That will force
us to make us use it. Yeah, we will now have to use it because
now we've done the K-pop collection episode, so now we have an actual excuse to put stuff on that Instagram. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, we should probably use that Instagram.
But, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we will see you next time. Bye!
Bye!